In this video, we are going to talk about default parameter. And here we have a function named add that accepts two parameters, a and b, and we have a console.log message that says the value of a is a and the value of b is b. And this function returns a plus b. Here we are calling the function by passing two values, that is 12 plus 20. Now if we refresh this page, we'll see the output 32 and the value of a is 12 and the value of b is 20. And because of that, the value of sum is 32. What will happen if we don't pass the second argument, that is 20, and refresh the page? It is not throwing an error because JavaScript supports optional parameter. So whatever parameter you accept, even if you don't pass all the parameter, it's a valid code in JavaScript. Because of that, you can do this. So here we get the output nan. But why is that happening? So to understand, the value of a is 12 and the value of b is undefined. And when we do 12 plus undefined, it returns nan. So what is happening here is whenever you don't pass any argument, the value of that parameter defaults to undefined. And because of that, you can see the value of b defaults to undefined. Let's test it and not pass any value. Refresh it and see the value of a is undefined and b is also undefined. Because JavaScript supports optional parameter, and when you don't pass any value, the value of parameter defaults to undefined. But how can we fix it? Because it's a very common issue that can happen a lot of times. So that is where default parameter comes in play. So default parameter is a way to change the default value by doing something like this. So you're saying, so whenever the value of a is not defined, default it to 0. Now, if we refresh this page, we'll see the value of a becomes 0, but the value of b is still undefined. What if we add a default value of b to 0 and refresh this page and we see the output a is 0 and b is 0. And because of that, we see the value of sum is 0. And that is a bit more friendly than nan. So here we can pass only one value, refresh the page, and the output is not nan, it is 12, because the second value will default to 0 and 12 plus 0 is 12. Similarly, what if we want to pass the first value to be undefined and second value to be 300? And refresh this, we see the value of a is 0 and the value of b is 300. The sum of 0 and 300 is 300. So this is how you can default the value of a parameter to any specific value. So not only 0, we can default this value to any other value like 100 and it will work properly. Like now you refresh, the value of a is 100 because the first value we are passing is undefined. 100 is not right, so let's just leave the default value to be 0. Let's go ahead, write another function with default parameter known as multiply that accepts two parameters, num_a and num_b. It returns num_a into num_b. So right now we are not using any default parameter. So let's save this file, refresh it and call this function multiply, but we'll pass only one parameter from here, that is 12. And we'll see the output we are getting is nan. And when we start using default parameter, and I'll default the value to 1, and the reason for that is because we are using multiplication. So multiplying any value with 1 will result into the same value. And now if we refresh it and call the same function, we'll see the output 12. So the benefit of using default parameter is, so whenever the value to the function is not passed, it will default to that specific value.